So as you can see, it's snowing again here in North Yorkshire, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. It's been snowing fairly heavily now for about 2 hours, so we're getting a nice covering of snow on the woodland floor. We've had a bit of a side wind, so one side of the trees is getting quite a nice plastering. And I don't know, there's just something really quite magical about walking through woodland when it's snowing. It's such a nice atmosphere and experience, and I've talked often before about woodland being very therapeutic, and I would say that's even more the case when it's a nice winter wonderland like this. So as amazing as everything looks, I'm not going to expect too much in terms of photography today. I just really want to enjoy the experience of being here, and then hopefully I have the bonus of actually capturing a couple of nice images. So in terms of location, I've come back to the woodland where I shot my scouting and pre-visualization video. So it'd be very interesting to see if I can actually make something work today. But what I'm really looking for is when you get those big, fat, fluffy flakes and just that really kind of dense snow to really kind of tidy up the chaos of the woodland and help me create some sort of really quite sort of simple, perhaps quite abstract images. So that will be really nice, but like I said, I'm not going to expect anything. I'm just going to have a wander around, enjoy it, and see what happens. Now the snow's just getting thicker and thicker. It just looks fantastic, and there's been a couple of robins flying around as well, and they're always great to see in the snow. But anyway, I don't know if you recognise the oak tree behind me here from a scouting video, but you might actually also recognise it from the video that I did with Sean Tucker. Now I'm sure most of you have heard of Sean Tucker. If you haven't, then please check out his channel. He's done some fantastic videos. But back in October, I think it was, he came up here and we shot a video together. I helped out with a video that was putting together about being an introvert in photography, and he kind of always, I think he's always appreciated my quite introspective approach to photography. So we sat next to this tree, he asked me some questions about that, and we just had a really good day out. So please check out that video if you haven't seen it already. But yeah, I just wanted to get an image of this tree because I just think it works quite well in the snow. It's got a nice bold shape to it, which I think contrasts quite nicely against all the white. We've got all the snow on the left-hand side of the tree, and that contrasts with the nice sort of warm tones and detail in the bark, and we'll be able to sort of lift that a little bit afterwards in post-processing. So yeah, I think it makes quite a nice composition. So I'm going to try a couple of different shots. I'll try one with a very shallow depth of field, bump up the ISO, get a nice fast shutter speed, and that should help to freeze some of that snow that's falling. And then I'll try one at around about f8, something like that, and get a nice sort of sharp low ISO image, and then just compare the two and see which one I prefer. But what's really good about here is I can turn the camera around and there's another oak tree in front of me here, which again has quite a nice bold shape and some nice warm tones and a bit of mossy green in there as well. There's just a little bit of depth just kind of looking through the woodland with a bit of beck in the background and a couple little trees in the distance. So yeah, they're quite nice shots, I think. Nothing fantastic, but you know, like I said, it's just amazing to be out. So we're going to keep wandering around, see what we can find, and then hope that the car doesn't get snowed in. So I've come out of that woodland now. It is the same day, it's just that I've had a change of hat, jacket and gloves. The others were a bit damp, but I must say, I don't know if you can see that little button there on my sleeve. That's for a base layer. It's a Christmas present from Adele, and it's absolutely awesome. Basically, I press that button and it switches the base layers on, and heats up these elements in my back and in my knees, and it's just an absolute godsend for me, trust me. So yeah, I'm nice and toasty. Yeah, I was struggling a bit in the other woodland. It stopped snowing. Everything was looking really quite busy, and I was struggling to find any kind of subjects which gave me a nice sort of clean image, because when you've got snow you do get that kind of clean, clinical feel, and I kind of craved something a bit more minimalist, and I just couldn't really find that there. So I think it's going to be a challenge, because pretty much all the woodlands that I frequent are chaotic, and the challenge is to kind of filter that out and try and find nice subjects. So I think I'm going to struggle to get those minimalist shots that I want today, to be honest. And the other challenge in snow as well is when you've got a dog, is that Meg doesn't go ploughing through the snow and create a load of tracks and, you know, disturb all that nice clean layered snow. So I'm constantly sort of trying to watch her, and it's a real challenge in woodland as well. If you're walking through and it's snowy and you do see a distant subject that you quite like the look of, my advice is to, you know, stay quite far back, just walk the periphery, look at it at all different angles, and then gradually move in closer and closer and closer. Because if you're going too close straight away and you disturb all that nice clean snow, and you realise that you need to be shooting from the opposite side and you've kind of disturbed the scene, then that can be quite annoying. So yeah, just start wide, you know, start from distance, go right round and just work your way in, and then at least then if you take the time to do that, you know you're going to get the best angle. But yeah, I'm shooting these trees here. You've seen them before, if you've seen my previous videos. I'm shooting them again, but in a different way, and it's just a little test shot really. I'm not terribly excited by it, but basically we've got these sort of little saplings and bits of twigs and things that are sticking up out the snow, and I just think it breaks up that white quite nicely and makes quite a nice little sort of foreground interest, and I'll use a tree in the background just to sort of set the scene. So yeah, like I say, I'm not terribly excited by that, but I'm going to give it a go and see what happens. And really, the reason why I've come up here as well was that there was some fog not long ago, and as soon as I got up it disappeared. But a foggy woodland in the snow would have been fantastic, but fingers crossed it'll come back. So I just got a bit of a shock when I looked at my watch and it was 3:15. I think I've left the house at 7:45 this morning. So it's been a long day. Well, I mean, I haven't said that. When I first arrived at the location, I was waiting for the sort of snow to build up a little bit more, so I had a bit of a nap in the car for an hour. I'm going to blame all the Christmas indulgence. I think it's kind of bogged me down a little bit. But anyway, fortunately, well, you know, it's going to be dark quite soon. But fortunately, I found one last shot which I really quite like, and the sun just popped out just very briefly and very softly, and gave some nice light on these pine trees. So basically, in terms of composition, we've got this really nice pine tree over to the left. Anchoring the composition over to the far left is we've got like a sapling there, so that's quite a nice addition, I think. We've got another pine tree in the mid-ground, and then I don't know if you can see in the distance there's another pine tree there. We've got some little saplings dotted around, but I just quite like those main three just to help to kind of draw your eye into the image. We do have an issue with these pine trees over to the right hand side. They're not really adding anything, and I didn't like the arrangement of them when they were included, so they have to be included in the shot but then cropped out afterwards. So I'm trying to sort of pre-visualize it and, you know, make sure we've got some space around this pine tree here, and it's probably going to end up being pretty close to a square crop, I think. But yeah, the light was good. There was just like a little bit of mist in the far distance that was just sort of creeping over the trees a little bit. So yeah, I think I quite like that. And now the kind of cloud in the distance there, it's gone quite a sort of steely blue, and that's really nice as well. So I might take another quick shot. But for now, I am absolutely desperate for a coffee and something to eat. And there's Meg there. She's actually, can you believe it? She's stopped running around. She's definitely run out of steam. So I need to get her back as well and get her fed. So thank you very much for watching this episode. Hope you tune in for the next one. Again, as I've said sort of many times before, I do run workshops. Plenty of one-to-ones already booked in for next year. I'm sort of trying to plan group workshops as well. But if you want to be the first to know about any group workshops that I'm running, I will be running some locally, but hopefully up in Scotland as well this year. So if you want to be the first to know about them, then please sign up to my newsletter. The link's in the description. But yeah, thanks again for watching this episode. And Happy New Year as well. And hope to see you for the next one. As much as I enjoyed my time wandering in the glorious snow and having fun with Meg, I didn't feel as if I'd made the most of the wintry conditions I'd been waiting for. I was determined to capture a better image, so I returned the next morning to take advantage of a small window of opportunity. The forest was perfectly still and silent, and roan fallow day passed through the trees. The moor was cold, mysterious and misty. I just adore the experience of winter mornings like this. The conditions, the wildlife and the solitude, everything just makes sense, proving that perseverance and passion will always pay off.